everyone, so in my last video I took you through how I made this card using up some leftover scraps, and in this video I'm going to take you through the next card using the same supplies that I showed you in the last one. So starting with vintage photo, again because I want to see how the card looks at the end, we'll get an idea of what it might look like. I'm actually going to ink the edges first. Normally this is a step I would leave until the end if I had sort of a design of what I wanted it to look like, but because I don't, I'm going to start by inking the edges first. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Distress ink this time to ink the little script across the bottom, but I am going to do that second sort of stamping that I showed you before, so inking a bit of the ink off onto a scrap piece of paper and then adding it so it creates a lighter sort of background. Okay, so for this one I'm actually going to use this beautiful pale blue with the pastel pink rose, and what I'm going to do is I want that to go all the way across the edge. So if I cut it at 15, then I will have half of the paper left for the reverse side that I might use on another card. And I actually think that as I go along I'm going to get more out of this than what I originally thought. I planned for 3 cards, but I think I could do more with the supplies that I have. So I'm just going to trim that off, and actually this needs a little slight trim as well. Okay, so I've got a nice clean edge there. Just move that off to the side. I am going to ink the edge of this paper as well, and as I said before, there is a bit of ink residue that's usually left on the sponge, so you don't have to always be re-inking as you go. Okay. So I've got that there. The other thing I like is this sort of wood grain pattern here, so I'm thinking about adding that to the bottom there. So what I might do is adhere this to the card, and I'm just going to use a strip in the middle because I'm going to add some layers underneath. This is usually used in scrapbooking when you're adding those extra layers of things behind the photos, and they usually only put adhesive in the middle so that you can add those layers, but this time I'm going to use it in card making. So I've actually trimmed that a little bit longer, just so that I made sure it went all the way to the edge. So I'll just go back in and ink that edge back up. Okay, alright, so now what I'm going to do is I quite like this pattern sitting under there, so I'm going to trim that off, and actually what I'm thinking is rather than just having that pattern as a straight edge, I'd like a decorative edge on that, and because it's already got its own little decorative edge, you can just go along with a pair of scissors. If you wanted to, you could use a scallop punch or something like that, but I'm just going to do it freehand and we'll see how we go, which is not usually like me at all. I'm very nervous about cutting freehand and making it nice and even. Let's just make it a little bit organic today. So there is the points for you to work with, so going from one point to that point at the top, so hopefully it will turn out not too bad. You may have to go and trim it up, but I think that looks okay. So again, I'm just going to ink the edge a little bit. Now it's probably only the bottom edge that's going to be showing, so we don't need to worry too much about inking the top, but definitely that side piece, and we'll run the adhesive along the top there, making sure we don't go off the edge, and then we'll just tuck that piece under there like so. Make sure you go all the way to the edge. Actually what I might do is I'll send it off the edge so that we've got even overhang on each side, like so. Go along and trim the excess off. how that turned out, to be honest. So the other thing that I'll do is just curl this up a little bit, just to give it a little bit of lift off the page. And I think it needs a border at the top here, so this is where this strip will come in handy. And I don't want it that thick, I only want a little border. So what I might do, just run my tape along this side. So this is the one that I thought didn't really go. And then this is going to be the top edge, and that's the one that's going to be showing. So let's just run a bit of ink along there, and then we'll just tuck that in a fair way. I'll have to turn it around for this. Because the adhesive is quite strong, you just need to make sure you're not sticking it down before you're happy with it. And I actually want it to go a fair way under, so I'll adhere it down like so. And again, just turn it over and trim off the excess. Okay, so we've got that like so. Just inking the edge, making sure that looks nice and neat. I actually think this is a bit too harsh for that that sort of pastel look that we're going for, so I'm thinking I'm just going to go with this smile and add that there with some adhesive, some dimensional adhesive. So I don't need it to be that thick, and we'll just trim a few pieces like so. Again, just in each of the corners, and then some in the middle to stop it from sagging. It's always a bit of a balance of how much do I put on and how much can I get away with not putting on. And I definitely think, looking at what's left of these scraps, that I could probably get more than 3 cards out of this, so I may end up making more than 3 cards. We'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now what I did was, off camera, I decided to cut some of these flowers out rather than you watching your fussy cut out more flowers. So there's 2 different things I was going to do. One was to add that little bit in the middle, so I'm going to show you how I do that. So I've just cut one of the flowers out as I had in the last video, and what I've done is also, just on a smaller scrap piece of paper, I've stamped one of these flowers again, but it doesn't matter that the edges have gone. The edge of the stamp has gone off the edge of the paper, because I only want that middle bit. So this is how I've made these ones. So you just go around and cut that centre piece of the flower out. And this is what I really like about this particular flower, is that you can sort of layer it up like this. And so you're just going in and trimming around the edges, and you don't even have to go in too far into the petals. It's just sort of giving that little bit of curve. And again, you can see me turning the paper as I go, so rather than the actual scissors. Okay, so we ink the edges of the flowers again, but instead of curving the big flower backwards, this time I'm going to curve it upwards. So just going around the edge and giving it some dimension that way. And then the same with the little flower, I'm going to ink the edges, and I'm going to curve this one to go downwards, which you could probably just do with your fingers. As I was inking it, I was starting to do that. And just some dimensional adhesive, and add that to the middle, and see how it creates a different kind of dimension. And this time we're going to add the flowers like that, maybe. Oh, actually, I think I quite like it all clustered on this side. Maybe at the top. At the top. Not sure how I want to play this one out. and it is just a matter of playing around with it. I actually quite like that. So this time, because there's already dimension in the flower, I'm actually going to adhere the flower using double-sided tape, so very flat kind of look, and I want that one to be at the back. So just some double-sided tape on there. Give it a bit more lift before I stick it down. And this one was the next one in the layering. Notice I try not to get the double-sided tape to go all the way to the edge, because that's how I'm going to get my dimension. So just sort of towards the middle of the flower, and like so. And I think, just wondering whether I actually add an additional sentiment or just leave it as smile. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I had a happy birthday ready to go. So that's card number 2 from all of those scraps. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.